All right, lads. Let's move on to your team, Ricky. Man City doing the business away on the south coast. A nice day down to Bournemouth Beach and back.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, you were saying to me this time last week that you're worried that if Arsenal win, and they did 1-0, even though it was just one, that potentially that 5 o'clock kickoff, the whole idea of sort of having to pull a result out with the Pep issues he's having with who he selects and what team he goes with. But mate, that was all. It's all
yeah.
history now, mate. You just
It was
got you.
great.
It's typical City, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I saw the starting lineup. So obviously Edison in goal, then Ake, Akanji, Diaz, Lewis. Then we had Gundo and Rodri in the middle, and Foden, Grealish, Alvarez, and Haaland. And I saw, Akanji and Ake in defence. I thought, what the hell's he doing? And Alvarez and Foden, no KDB or no Mahrez, because Mahrez has been one of our star players this season. And the formation absolutely worked a treat, like with Alvarez in the middle and Haaland up front. I think Rico Lewis did amazing. I don't know if you saw the game, but like he is playing like the way that Cancelo would play, like go in from defense into the midfield, going into the midfield to allow Gundogan to go out and just do what he's doing. And Gundogan, he came off, I think, about 60 minutes and still got man of the match because he just, our captain, like great performance. But he allowed Gundo to kind of just really play and to feed the ball into like the channels and feed it into like Alvarez and Haaland. So overall, the formation was absolutely spot on from a City perspective. And I think Nathan Ake, like the reason why he played him is because obviously he was Bournemouth, his old team, and he came off on the 70th minute, and he got a standing ovation from the away fans as well. Sorry, the Bournemouth home fans, but overall, it was a really great performance. I think for me, the key highlights again we were very authoritative. So we this time scored 4 goals. We should have scored 4 goals against Forest. With Haaland, like so he's broken a record now. So like he scored 27 goals, has beaten Aguero's record. So that was really great to see, like the highest scoring Man City player in a season, which is really good to see. We've maintained a 100% record against Bournemouth. So overall, like, I feel sorry for them, but we scored 40 goals versus their 5 goals, and we've beaten Watford and Bournemouth with Pep Guardiola in charge. He's maintained 100% records against both teams, so that was really good to see there as well. I think Phil Foden was fantastic. It was his 100th game for Man City, and I think leaving him off for the last, I think, 5 to 6 games, and him coming in fresh, it just felt like a new signing. Like he was brilliant. The assists that he had, I think he created 7 chances in terms of assists, and his goal at the end was fantastic as well. Like real leadership qualities there. I struggle to think how he's still, like, I don't know, 22, 23 years old. He's doing fantastic. I think for me, Rico Lewis was just brilliant. He's just not scared to kind of go in for the challenges and moving up into the midfield. And I think just overall for me, the confidence that he's getting from Pep Guardiola to start these games and to have that reliability is really, really good to see. Yeah, so I think overall a really good game. We easily deserved it. My only hunch, I would say, was the fact that we didn't keep a clean sheet, and I think that is troublesome because the fact that we're winning 4-0 and we just switch off. The last 20 minutes, Bournemouth could have scored 2 goals, and that would have been quite dangerous. If it was another team, they would have been, and if it was only like 3-0 and they'd come back 1 or 2 goals, that would have been quite difficult. So I just think that our defense is still, like, and the person that made the mistake was Ruben Diaz. You would not expect him. I know he's just come back from injury, but that's my only hunch with that game at the end. The fact that we let in that goal, was a bit disappointing. Um, I think Jack Grealish did he played really well, but unfortunately for him, all the play was on the other side on Foden, and with Rico Lewis playing on that right, Foden and Alvarez and Rico, they that's where the possession was, and that's why Jack Grealish. It was a bit of more of a quieter game, but you could see on the pitches running around. The energy levels were fantastic to see. Um, he did get subbed off around the 70th minute, but I just couldn't fault anyone on the pitch for City. A really,
Why
really
does
good
he keep
performance.
changing the back, Ricky? What's the reason? Is it fatigue? Is it just, I don't know? Is he keeping everyone happy? What's the primary reason for him changing out the back so much?
Yeah, so I think Nathan Ake, he played because it was Bournemouth was his old team, and I think Nathan Ake, he's going to be getting a new contract, and I think they're going to pay him an additional 80 grand. I think I do feel nervous about Ake. I don't know why. I don't know if it's his hairstyle or I don't know something. I just find there's something about him that just makes me feel
Weighing
he's a
him
bit like
down.
it's a bit like this. I don't know if you remember this done and done for us. Like
Yeah.
back in the day, they used to always be a liability, and there's just something about City in our defense. There's always going to be someone that's going to let the ball through the kind of gaps. I think for me, it's like Ruben Diaz, Laporte. I think Akanji's been superb. Like he's come in and he's mold the
Unknown,
Pep
isn't he?
God.
Just
Yeah,
what's the
exactly.
story with that?
Switzerland.
Like, is that like one of those signings where,
He was
yeah,
Bayern Munich. So sorry, yeah.
mm,
So he's come from the same team as Dortmund. He's come from Dortmund, same team as
mm,
Haaland. They're teammates.
mm,
And in the World
okay,
Cup, it's with Switzerland. He's a
mm,
decent player. Come in to kind of just help out because Laporte and Diaz were always kind of injury prone. But I think he's quite solid. I think he's reliable. He doesn't make any mistakes. Quite tall. Good height for the defense. But I think for me, the player on the screen, I think for me, Nathan Ake, I just find it. I basically like clench my teeth when he's got the ball, but he's last 4 or 5 games he's done really well, and I think that's why they're going to give him a new contract.
I think bearing in mind the opposition, you can get away with these kind of selections. You know, it's Bournemouth away with respect.
Yeah,
You can carry an average performance from a Ake or an Akanji because you've got so much firepower up front that you can let a goal in, and as you did, you won 4-1 on the day.
yeah, and,
But
and Kevin De Bruyne didn't even play. I know because with
yeah,
RB Leipzig, he was injured and he was just come back. So like Pep just wanted to give him 5-10 minutes of a run around at the end.
yeah,
But the fact that we didn't, that's the beauty. Man City versus Arsenal, we can rest some of our big players like Mahrez
this is
and
it
KDB, and
when
for the
it
next
counts.
game, yeah, you'll
Yeah.
have fresh legs.
But you are in a massive competition in the Champions League, so bearing in mind Arsenal aren't, and Arsenal might throw that competition. There's no chance of Pep not prioritising the Champions League. And do you think
Yeah,
if he had a choice, he would take the Champions League over the Premier League?
yeah. So like, I know what I'll do. I'll go for the Champions League. I think Pep would as well. But the fact that we won the Premiership and it's like a marathon. Like to win the
Mm,
Premiership was such a great achievement. But I think if it was a choice of one or the other this time round, we have to go for the Champions League. It's just that
yeah.
last legacy before he goes. Let's be honest. I don't think Pep's going to be there for more than 2 years. So we need to win that before we kind of go back to our Division
Mm,
2 days or so. And I think the worry for me is players like Gundogan. They're getting old. And there's talk of him kind of leaving City. So there's talk of us going for like replacements. Obviously, we've been linked with Bellingham, but also
yeah.
that there's that other player. I've forgotten his name now. Chelsea, is it Chelsea or Leicester? Madison. We're
Oh
linked with
yeah, good
Madison.
player. Yeah,
Yeah, he is.
I like him. Yeah, good player.
Yeah. So I'm
And
not
he's
sure he can.
English, so that helps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I don't
good.
think he can. He's as good as Gundo. I think Gundo's been a great player. He's always,
Mm,
you never think of him, doesn't get the praise, but he's always does that hard work,
mm.
and he's scored some really important goals for us, especially
It's
last season
crazy, isn't
against
it?
Villa.
Since you lost David Silva, you've probably missed him for a transitional period, but not Rodri, Gundogan and Bernardo Silva have, between the pair of them, kept that midfield ticking.
Yeah, yeah,
They've carried the club since the David Silva loss. Well, not
yeah.
loss,
Even
but
Mahrez as well. If we forget
mm.
Mahrez, he doesn't play every single game, but yeah, it's great how he just rotates the squad
Good
and keeps
signings,
everyone
man.
happy.
Good
Yeah,
signings.
yeah,
How much
very
was
good signing.
Gundogan?
I think he was the first signing for Pep, and he was like about 30 million pounds.
Where was he
Um,
from? Germany. He's
Germany,
German.
yeah,
He's
yeah. I think
Germany.
it's Bayern Munich.
Okay.
So yeah, he was Pep's very first signing, and it's good to see that all these years down, he's still playing him.
Yeah.
But he's getting older now. But I think overall, to see Julian Alvarez like score 2 goals, like coming in, like being on the
Mm,
bench, and then all of a sudden making an impact. Whenever he comes on, he's likely to score a goal. So that
mm,
was good to see to get 2 goals, and for Haaland to get back onto the goals scoring sheet as well, and to get
mm,
subbed off for our new player Peroni. I don't know if you heard of him. He's an Argentinian. He's come on, 18-year-old. So it's another signing that we made this transfer window. So we've got 2 Argentinians in, Julian and
mm,
Peroni. So yeah, I'm feeling very positive. Like to be honest, after
yeah.
seeing the Forest game, seeing even RB Leipzig, I saw that it was a 1-1 draw, but we were really attacking. But again, we let that goal in, which was disappointing. But the last three
Yeah.
games, in summary, for me, we've got that firepower back, attacking football. You see
You know
Pep's
the
body
three at the
language.
back, is that because he's been doing 4 and 3 and he's had Cancelo in that four and then he's switched to this three and is this it now? Do you think he should stop? Because there's this whole criticism of Pep constantly trying to reinvent the wheel. But do you
Yeah.
look at this team now and say, right, we know the system. They've got the back three. Whether we play against lesser teams, we play the youngsters, the Akes and the Kanjis and the Lewises. But in the big games, we then stick the Laportes and Walkers in. And is there a frustration from the City fan base that Pep does over engineer it sometimes or tries to?
Yeah, so Walker and KDB were both injured, so that's why they didn't. They
Yep.
so Walker,
Okay.
so they
Yep.
were tired legs. So
Yep.
like, it's he's not doing too much of it. It's just basically like with Ake, he's coming in. This game was different because it's Bournemouth, and
Yep.
we had those tired legs. But I think he's back to because we've got Laporte back fit now, and Diaz. Those two, I expect, like if we're going to play Arsenal, those two will be starting off in the starting 11 on this on the pitch. So yeah, overall very positive, I would say. Good to
Yeah.
see that firepower, and you see Pep Guardiola is not criticizing the players anymore. He's come out like he's really like you can see that body language of that attacking football, and you see overall possession wise, we're getting 70% possession. Like we had, I think, 20
Yeah.
shots, 5 on target.
Yeah.
So
There you
yeah,
go.
really, really good, really decent
Crazy,
performance.
man. You had 20 shots, 5 on target.
Yeah.
8 off target. Yeah, you basically took all the stats home for sure, mate.
Mm.
750 passes versus 377. So you completely outpassed them, and you basically didn't give them much of the ball, so they
No,
couldn't do
no.
much. And City's kind of mantra is, if you don't have the ball, you can't hurt us, right? That's kind of one of the
Yeah,
things Pep
exactly.
believes in. Yeah,
Yeah. And Bournemouth, I think, unfortunately, they're going to be wait, like they've only won 1 in 9, and they're down there, like in terms of, yeah, they're going to
mm.
be in a relegation scrap, unfortunately.
Yeah. VJ, how's the boxing going, mate? I don't know if you got your eyes on it.
Yeah, yeah, I've got half an eye on it.
Yeah,
We're the
how's it going, mate?
second 2 rounds in. I think
Yeah.
Fury's just on top at the moment. Yeah, looking all right at the
Okay.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with City, I mean, yeah, they were dominant, right? I mean, 4-1 winners. Yeah, I think I agree with you. The clean sheet was a bit of a blip on the performance. Other than that, they absolutely smashed it with somewhat a third of the team, first team was missing. So I thought they did quite well, and I think that's where the difference between City and Arsenal at the moment. They can put out, and I know they've had some odd results here and there, but they can put out a second or even a third tier player in some positions and still walk away with the win. And I know it was Bournemouth, but still, you know, you've got to beat the teams in front of you. And didn't I think it was Bournemouth who went and had week before beat Wolves, didn't they? If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
or at
it might
least
have
drew
done.
with them. And you'd probably think that Wolves
They're
is
not.
is,
They're
is
not.
slightly stronger.
They're not as bad as. I mean, look, they're bottom of the table, aren't they, Bournemouth? But they're
They
not.
are. They're
They
not
can.
as bad as the Southampton, for
Yeah, they
example.
can dig out a draw.
Yeah,
They can dig out a draw. Yeah.
exactly. But no,
Where do you
dominant.
see VJ these fixtures here? Do you see any banana skins here for these next 6 games? Obviously, you've got the Champions League, but then you've got Palace away, West Ham at home, and Liverpool at home. This next month is quite tasty, mate. Looking at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think we said earlier on, right? I just think that looking at these fixtures, um, City aren't playing relegation battlers, are they? Really? I mean, you kind of think West Ham maybe, but yeah, maybe not. Um, and Newcastle, I think, are battered and bruised from today. So I actually think that City have got the better fixtures compared to an Arsenal, in my opinion. Liverpool are not the Liverpool of the ones that chased City all the way to 100 points in the past. Um,
Mm,
I think that City will come away with the Leipzig win. They'll make it through to the next round. Of course, Newcastle. I'm going backwards a little bit here.
mm.
Newcastle. I think they will beat Newcastle as well, and the others too. So I think City, City in a good position. I think they're comfortable. I mean, City are really comfortable.
I think
Yeah.
for the month of March, though, Arsenal got the better. Like as per previous conversation, Arsenal got the easier fixtures to me. Like we've got Newcastle, we've got Crystal Palace away, and we've got Liverpool at home. Like versus their Everton, Bournemouth, Fulham, and Palace. this is a big month for us. Like with the distraction of the Bristol City, yeah, and then obviously the RB Leipzig. It's definitely a big month for us coming up.
Yep, sure is, mate. Sure is.